Well, it's hard to believe that we're already headed into week 7, but we are. Let's discuss the power rankings. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the Bears Den, an NFL podcast with the Chicago Bears First Focus. I am your host, Alex, and today we are here to talk about our Week 7 power rankings, my Week 7 power rankings, the top 10 as always. And like I always do in these power rankings, I base it off of this season. I try my best not to really account for things that have happened in the past because what has happened in the past doesn't really affect what's happening this season, right? Obviously, a year ago at this point, the Jacksonville Jaguars were almost guaranteed to be a playoff team. And then we saw what happened and we saw where they are now, right? So we can't just account for things that were last year to kind of help push certain narratives. So that's what I try and do here. We try and base it as much off of this present season as we can as possible. Before I jump into this, as always, I'm almost at 100 subscribers. I appreciate all of the new subscribers coming in. I see you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys commenting and hanging out on the videos. I would love to see if we can get to 100 subscribers before the end of October. I know that we can do it. And there's a lot of you that are new here that are not subscribed. I see it. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our Week 7 power rankings. At the number 10 spot, I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, there is a lot of NFC teams in my top 10 this week. Tampa, there could be an argument made that they could be up higher, right? They have played really well pretty much the entire season. Baker Mayfield has played some of the best football of his career down there. It seems like he's really found his home, and that's really exciting, and that's fun as a fan of the sport to see, right? Really, really cool seeing him, find his home after he originally gave Cleveland hope, and now he's really, really performing well. He's been, I think top 5 in pretty much every single stat so far this year. So he's playing lights out. The team is playing lights out, and Todd Bowles really has that team headed in the right direction. And I think I could potentially move them up a little bit, but the team that I have at 9 is the team that beat them in overtime a couple weeks ago, the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta's looked good. I didn't think that they were going to look too great this year. I was really concerned about how Kirk Cousins was going to look off of the injury, but he has looked really, really solid. Obviously, he's had like the best single game out of any of the quarterbacks this year, with the game against Tampa Bay for 500 plus yards. And, he's really kind of developing a great connection with his receivers and Drake London and Mooney. And, Bijan Robinson's obviously one of the best running backs in the league. And so, they got a lot of offensive weapons. Can Kirk stay healthy? That's the question. But so far, he's looked fantastic, and they've looked great. And they've really looked kind of, I guess, how many of us expected them to look at the start of the free agency period when he signed with them, right? So Atlanta at the number 9 spot. The number 8 spot, I have the Green Bay Packers at 4-2. They have looked pretty solid. Jordan Love is it's funny. He missed 2 games, but he is second in the league in passing touchdowns. So that shows, how explosive he has been with the ball this year. On the flip side of that, he is also second in the league in interceptions. So he's got a little bit of a Brett Favre thing going on this year, kind of a Jameis Winston thing, where he is lighting it up, but he's also giving the ball away a ton. And so because of that, I have to limit them on the power rankings. I have to put them here. But I do think that they've looked very solid so far this year. They obviously have one of the best coaches in the league. And, this NFC North division is very, very tough, but I think that, Green Bay's look pretty good, and I've got them at the number 8 spot. At number 7, I have the Bears just ahead of them, and some people might not like this. They would probably prefer if I have them flipped, but I just think that if they were to play this week, I think the Bears would actually beat them. And, I always say on this channel, I do my best to not be biased. I'm a Bears fan. I've always been a Bears fan, but I'm also a fan of the sport. But I do genuinely believe that with how both teams have looked so far this season, I truly believe that right now, the Bears would beat the Packers if they played this week. Now, in 4 or 5 weeks when they actually play, maybe I will feel differently. But at this current moment, what we've seen from Caleb Williams and the Bears offense, the momentum they have, they've put up 35 points the past 2 weeks. In each game, they have looked very good, and they are destroying bad teams, much to which Green Bay did to Arizona this week, right? They beat them down pretty good, right? But I just think that, the Bears have really found their way, and they've got some really good plays drawn up and being called, and Caleb Williams is very, very comfortable right now. And the entire offense is getting the ball. Keenan Allen's getting there, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. These guys are spreading it around, and I think as Caleb becomes even more comfortable and Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator, becomes even more comfortable with Caleb, this team's going to be even more dangerous because who do you guard? Who do you try and take away? Because if you take away DJ Moore, they got Keenan Allen and all the names I just mentioned. And if you try and take away Keenan Allen, you got all the other names and so on and so forth. And the defense is obviously playing lights out. They're top 3 in almost every single statistic this year, I believe. And they just are looking great. And so I've got the Bears at 7. At number 6, I have the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills are also 4-2, coming off a nice Monday Night Football win against the Jets, and obviously they just made a huge trade for Amari Cooper yesterday, so they are going to be even better. They get another big weapon on offense, and Josh Allen so far is playing the best football of his career. I think, let me pull this up really quick. I think through these 6 weeks, yeah, he still has not turned the ball over. So think about that for a second, right? Because Josh Allen was second in the league in turnovers last year. Through 6 games this year, he has 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is crazy. He is protecting the ball, and as long as he keeps doing that, this can be one of the best teams in the league. Always one of the biggest gripes, the biggest talking points with the Bills was, man, Josh Allen loves to turn the ball away and he will throw away winnable games. But he's not doing that this year. Now, we'll see with the addition of a number 1 receiver coming back into Buffalo with Amari Cooper, if that will kind of change things. But so far, he is great, and the Bills have looked great, and Sean McDermott has looked pretty solid. He was the coach I had on the hot seat at the start of the season, but they have looked pretty good. So I have the Bills at number 6. At number 5, I've got the Detroit Lions. Look, this team is nasty. I maybe have them a little bit too low, right? But they do have 2 losses, but they have 1 loss, excuse me. They're 4-1. But still, I think they are looking fantastic. I think that there's kind of like a sweet spot, right? Of how much do I want to value what they just did to Dallas? Because what they just did to Dallas was insane, and I think any team that does that to another professional football team is very, very good. But I also do think that Dallas is very bad this year. So kind of goes both ways, right? I'm not trying to discount their win. What they just did to Dallas is insane, and it actually makes me happy, believe it or not, as a Bears fan, because I watched that game last year against Dallas where they got hosed by penalties, right? Where Detroit got hosed and they should have won that game. And so what they did to Dallas in Dallas's home on Jerry Jones' birthday was very enjoyable to watch. And, it really sucks that Aiden Hutchinson is done for the year. I think he's, obviously one of the best players in the league. And, I love playing against him. As a Bears fan, it's fun. It's fun to watch. And I don't want, teams to be hurt. I never root for injuries. I don't want the NFC North teams to be hurt. I want the teams to be at full strength. I want to actually earn the division title. I don't want to just coast to it because of injuries. So it really sucks that he's done for the year. Obviously, hope he heals up and everything. He's an absolute elite player. And so that loss sucks. And we'll see how much it has an effect on their defense. But, man, they're looking good. They're looking dangerous. And this NFC North division is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Detroit at 5. Number 4, I have Baltimore. Look, Baltimore's coming alive. They're coming alive. They just took down the red hot Washington Commanders, and this is they're a scary team because their style of football is what works in the playoffs, right? What they've done in the past is when they get to the playoffs, they get away from running football, which is their style, their identity, and they try and become a pass-first offense, and that bites them, and they lose because of it, right? But the addition of Derrick Henry is looking borderline unstoppable, right? Like, how do you stop these two running the ball? They're averaging over 200 rushing yards a game. And then you have Zay Flowers, and you have Mark Andrews, and you have Isaiah Likely, and you have these passing weapons, and you have one of the best mobile quarterbacks of all time, right? So Baltimore is very dangerous. They have a pretty solid defense, and obviously a great coach in Harbaugh. And as long as they can stay healthy, as long as Derrick Henry, who has had some injury history over the past couple of years, as long as he can stay healthy, they are going to be very dangerous, and they're going to be able to really control games, because when you can efficiently run the football, you can control the clock, you can control the game, and you can keep the opposing quarterback off the field. And so that's what makes them very, very dangerous. Baltimore at 4. Number 3, I got the Houston Texans, sitting at 5-1. Look, they had the one bad loss to Minnesota this year. Other than that, they've looked really, really great. CJ Stroud obviously does not appear to be having a sophomore slump. He's kind of just right back into it where he was last season, excuse me, at least through the second half of last season. And they look great. They'll get Nico Collins back soon, and obviously Joe Mixon's been a great addition. And they have a loaded wide receiver room, and defense is pretty fantastic as well. Obviously with Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter up front, they're looking really, really strong. One of the best teams in the AFC, and it's looking like they are going to make a deep run this year, assuming everyone can stay healthy. And obviously, they have one of the best young coaches in the league with D'Amico Ryans. So Houston at number 3. And then at number 2 and number 1, I have not changed the spots from last week. Both these teams were on a bye week. At number 2, I have the Kansas City Chiefs sitting at 5-0. Look, if their level of play continues at the way it's been this year, I'm going to start moving them down. But they're still undefeated, and I'm not really going to move them up or down off of bye. I just don't really think that would make that much sense. And then obviously Minnesota is the team I have at 1, 5-0. They played really solid. Almost choked the game against the Jets in London, but were able to pull through there. Don't have a ton to say on these two teams because they didn't play this week. They had a bye week. So there's my top 10 power rankings for the week from 10 to 1. We've got Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Green Bay, Chicago, Buffalo, Detroit, Baltimore, Houston, Kansas City, and Minnesota. Like, comment, subscribe. I always appreciate you guys hanging out, watching these videos with me, hanging out in the den. Share this video to your friends. If you got any friends who are fans of football, share this video to them. And I appreciate you guys as always. Bear down. We will see you in tomorrow's game picks video. Peace.